Hey everybody, and welcome to Checkpoint on Campus, the official voice of college esports. I am your host, Norris Howard, joined alongside Jacob Brothers. We only got Jacob for a few weeks, guys. Jacob is going to be moving on to greener pastures that we like to call grown manness. And so we want to make sure that we get a lot of Overwatch in before Jacob departs us. So Jacob, we had some playoffs, and we have a champion in Overwatch. Hit us with it.
We have a champion, and it's a champion who deserves it. We have Maryville winning it all against Northwood in a 3-2 series, and it was the most electric Overwatch I've seen.
Yeah, it was absolutely nuts. And let's just very briefly talk about the road that these two teams had to take in order to get to the grand finals, because you look at Northwood, and I'm not going to say they made quick work of everybody, but they came up against a few teams that you expected them to beat them all. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, and they expected to beat everyone too, because they had said in an interview like, hey, try and take a map off of us. And then Maryville comes out with the 2-0. So yeah, Northwood took out Miami University, they took out Harrisburg in a 3-1 series, and then Maryville took out University of Utah 3-1, and then took out Irvine. So these teams played the big boys to get here. And so, yeah, let's just briefly talk about when they played HU, because HU is the other big team that, didn't make the finals. So the game against HU was mostly HU put up a good fight in every map, but their mistakes got the best of them, and Northwood didn't make mistakes. There was a point where HU had pulled a C9 on a point where they just focused on the tank instead of the cart. That definitely cost them that map. And their other crucial mistake was that they tried to play a Junkrat against a team that is too high of a level to play against a Junkrat, which is the result of the fastest capture of a Anubis point of all time. So, which was insane. So the new record is 1 minute and 35 seconds. But basically, Grab tried to pull out his Junkrat, and Northwood was like, what if we just follow the direction of the grenades and then click on him? And so this definitely became a DPS battle between Cyrus and between Dynasty. And HU was able to do well when Cyrus was given his space and wasn't really challenged, which only happened on the map that they won. So for the other maps, they were mostly just on the short end of the stick. Like whenever they would get taken off of the payload, it was at a point where they didn't have the respawn advantage, and then that would just lead them to just not, progress because they're just at that non-respawn advantage. And so HU did their best, and Elk and Cyrus are phenomenal DPS. I think they are one of the better DPS combos in all of Overwatch. But I think that Cowman and Seasons as tanks just kind of outclass Mikey and Divio, and that just kind of led to that. Because your people are getting picks, but you're not staying alive.
Yeah, absolutely. And so moving on to the grand finals, where, to be perfectly honest, this is King Kong versus Godzilla, right? This is what everybody expected. This is what, actually a lot of people expected Utah, but those of us in the know, i.e. me and you, we're the only ones who are said Utah doesn't look as clean as they looked last semester. Maryville looks like they might be the ones to actually take them out, and sure enough, they did. So we fast forward to the grand finals, where we see these two absolutely masterclass teams, and you know what? Credit to Maryville, they came out and punched Northwood right in the face. It was devastating what Papaya was doing on this Oasis map to start out. And I'm going to be honest here. We were in going back and forth on Twitter throughout the entirety of the grand finals. And I'm going to just say this right now. We usually talk about it was support difference, or the DPS line was better, or how you always talk about the tanks. The tank line this was team diff, okay? They at least had one player in each role that was completely outclassing their counterpart on the other half. So we talk about Halo, we talk about Cameron, we talk about Papaya. Those three players from Maryville started off from map 1 taking complete control over this match. And the Oasis map really kind of let us know how the rest of the series was going to go, or at least most of them.
Yeah, honestly, out of those players, it was Halo that was just the most impressive for me, because I've never seen a Lucio make that much of an impact. And I want to give that player the biggest hug of my life, because I just love Lucio played. He was the best there was. But yeah, so kind of the way that the series went, because it was kind of a mirror match the whole time. just the current meta matchup of May, McCree, Reinhardt, Diva, Lucio, and Baptiste.
Mm-hmm.
And so it really was a chess game where it just kind of came into who's going to do the immortality field first. And if you do it first, or if it gets forced out, you're probably going to lose. And map 1 and map 2 being on King's Row was kind of the same story, because the team who pushed the aggression won the map. So like on Oasis, MU had the high ground, and they would keep it until they knew it was time to jump on them. And then they would jump on them, and they'd win the jump, and then they'd just go do it again. And King's Row was a similar thing. They were shutting down the proper targets. They would just kind of roll up on them. They were ready for all the flanks. One thing that MU did better than Northwood in this by far is that they were always on the flanks at the right time, especially on King's Row. Kraken was just somehow always behind the enemy team and always found value.
Listen, Kraken's peel in this series was absolutely nothing short of amazing, because you're absolutely right. Not only was it always about the flanks, but when you look at how much space that Kraken was able to make for Cameron to go in and not have to be a defensive Ryan, but an offensive Ryan, go in, swing the hammer, and all I did was open up space for Papaya to be able to click heads, right? Because when you saw how things were going, especially on King's Row, you saw so much displacement. Seasons had nowhere to go. He was almost always going down first in team fights. The supports really couldn't get anything going. Landon was almost invariably the last person alive in every team fight from Northwood, and it just didn't pan out well for them. But then at game point, we moved to Rialto, which I got to give Northwood credit, was an excellent map pick, because it played to their strengths. It's a long map, it's a slow map, it's a map that you got to grind out. You can't just go in and do how, they did Harrisburg and rush it. You got to really plan out your attacks. Northwood was able to come away with that map. But again, we saw this, and Halo went nuts on this map, even on a loss. It was disgusting to watch Halo play on this map. We move forward to Volskaya, which might be the most entertaining match of 2 CP I've ever seen. Absolutely. Because it was 0 CP. That's what it was. It was no CP.
Well, no, there was a 60.7% capture of a point. So there was some exhilarating Overwatch there. But yeah, no, because Maryville does this phenomenal hold, and then Northwood takes their turn to do an even better hold. And it caused Maryville to choke in that game. Maryville absolutely could have gotten that point, but I think they were just so caught off guard by like how well they were being defended against, because Northwood, they were getting all the picks that they needed. They were responding. They were responding the way they needed, and rotating the way that they needed. And Maryville wasn't ready for that. But then the choke kind of came on Northwood in the final map. Because you would think that the momentum shift would happen, right? And that Northwood has all the momentum. They're the most confident people in the world. But then map 5 just played the way Maryville wanted to play it.
And you know what? In a part of that goes to your boy Halo. Your boy Halo is all over the place in this Ilios map, which, by the way, really should have been more competitive than what it was. But we saw Cameron, we saw Halo, and we saw Papaya popping off like they had been all throughout the series. But what made the difference here is that Nas could not get any value. Nas could not really pop off and get any CC down with any sort of value or accuracy. And it really cost them the match. It cost them the championship. They were able to freeze out Nas, separate him from the team. The Blizzards were either getting eaten or thrown out way too early. Halo was booping people off the map left and right. It was something that you saw where Maryville kind of just looked at each other and they said, guys, all right, let's calm down. Let's refocus. We are the better team today. We can end up locking this out. And eventually that's what they did.
Yeah, you were able to really see it in the final map. You have Landon taken out in the first second. You have Seasons separated from everybody else. You have the Blizzard not getting value in some random corner. And then in the immediate second round, you see Landon getting left out to dry when they rotate onto the point. You can see the communication issue start to happen, because even though there's back and forth of they just dunk on the other team to get the point because you just use your ultimates. For the majority of that game, Maryville would just stand in their high ground and would bother them until it was time to go back to the point. And Northwood, they couldn't keep up. They were absolutely frazzled. and they were quite literally shook. And Maryville got the dub.
Yeah, they were. And, you speak about Landon being left out on that lighthouse map of Ilios. I mean, as soon as I saw that, I said this match is over because the communication wasn't there. And Landon had been far and away the best player for Northwood all day long. And then you just leave him vulnerable in that sense. And I'm not sure if that's Landon not hearing the rotate call or the rotate call coming when Landon was not ready. But your Baptiste cannot be the first person dead in a team fight. Cannot.
Not a Baptiste who is the MVP of the server.
Yeah, exactly. But it's untenable in a rush comp. You can't do it. And it just let us know that round in that map was already over. And so congratulations go out to Maryville because you know what? They came out and they dethroned the heirs apparent, and they are now 3-time national champions. That is 2 for League of Legends and 1 for Overwatch. And I got to commend them because a lot of people did not give them credit, but there they are. So we're going to have more on this topic. We're going to talk to Light, one of the support players from Maryville, when we come back.